A lot of you in the comments have been calling me out for only showing the
perfect side of Poland.
You have told me for young Polish people, a home is becoming unobtainable. And the reality on the ground is that the truth is a lot darker than what you see on Instagram. And so I took the comments to heart and I spent the past 2 weeks
digging up the data.
I wanted to see if the data matches what you guys were saying. And honestly, what I found is even worse than what I expected. Here are the 10 reasons why finding an affordable home here in Poland is becoming impossible. And number 8
genuinely makes me angry.
And so with that said, let's get into it.
Number 1, massive expansion of institutional outside investors.
The private rented sector has grown rapidly in Poland. Large international investment funds from Western Europe, the United States, and neighboring Central European countries. I looked that up. It is Ukraine, which is number 1, and then Belarus, which is number 2. I didn't know that, so something I learned.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Buy entire planned residential buildings directly from developers before they ever hit the public market. According to the CBRE market tracking data, the total supply of these institutionally owned units increased by 30% in a single recent calendar cycle, hitting over 24,000 units in operation, with thousands more in construction pipelines. Because these outside funds purchase in bulk, they deplete the number of apartments available for individual Polish families to buy. Yeah. 100%. I don't think people who are not citizens should be able to buy
all of the
property here in Poland. No. There's a caveat with that. I think there should be a certain percentage of it, but I don't think it should just be, hey, we have all the money, so we're just going to buy all of this. Because yes, you control the market.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom.
And it's really not fair for local people, and it hurts the actual true market pricing. So yeah, I'm genuinely against having outside investors coming in and purchasing a lot of homes that where Polish people or Polish families should be able to purchase and buy. And this kind of comes to the next point.
Number 2, fundamentally locked out of their own starter home market.
Outside buyers do not just invest via massive funds. Individual foreign nations and foreign private buyers purchased roughly 17,300 dwellings in a single recent annual tracking period, according to the Polish Economic Institute records. These investors aggressively target 2-room and 3-room apartments, which make up nearly 70% of all residential sales. Because outside investors focus on these specific size, they are buying up the exact pool of starter homes that young Polish professional needs. Again, I'm 100% against this. I see this happening in the United States with certain major, big investment companies. And you hurt the housing market because you now control the market. You can literally price whatever the market is going to be. It hurts the actual true market value. And so you're actually inflating market prices where then you outprice local market for local Polish people or Polish families to be able to afford affordable housing. I hate this. I think this is not good. I think this should be definitely something where the government needs to step in and control and monitor. You may be able to have these investors come in and purchase these property, but a lot of that money is not staying in Poland. A lot of this money is going outside of Poland. Yeah, maybe in the short term, this is helping Poland. Other than that, long term, I don't know. I really believe you're hurting Polish people and the Polish market. And again, you're not keeping this money in Poland.
Number 3, the cash buyer priority wall.
When an average Polish citizen goes to buy a home, they are usually outbid by liquid cash. Reports from
Narodowy Bank Polski
shows that historically up to 76% of the primary market residential sales volume has been paid for entirely in cash without bank loans. Damn. Sellers and developers consistently prioritize these cash buyers because they can close a transaction immediately, whereas a local buyer rely on bank credit must wait weeks for complex mortgage verification.
Typical.
Again, if you have people who are coming from outside of Poland, because I'm assuming that's who they're talking about, because I don't see the average Polish person coughing up 200,000 zloty to be able to put down a down payment. You're competing with an unfair market. You're competing with corporations or people who have a ton of money, and they're going to be able to pay in cash. If you have to wait weeks to be able to have a bank approve your loan, and these people are just showing up with cash in hand, then yes, of course, I believe this needs to be regulated by the government. government. I'm not a type of person who wants government to control every facet of our life, but I do believe that this is becoming a huge issue. Many of you are saying this in the comments about how difficult it is to purchase a home here in Poland. So I understand why there's such desire about purchasing homes and affordable living, and from also people from the outside of Poland coming in and saying how cheap it is here.
Number 4. Severe post-war structural deficit.
Poland has never fully resolved its historical housing deficit. Estimates from both the Polish government and independent real estate institutions like Investropa shows that the nation is currently short by approximately 1.5 million residential units to meet basic European Union population density standards. This permanent structural undersupply ensures that sellers retain total control over pricing. I'm getting to see a theme here. So once again, you have people who are able to purchase the flats, the land, and once again, control the pricing. I understand we don't live in a fair world, but
Give me a break.
this is insane. I mean, how are you supposed to compete with this? Local people are competing with investment firms or companies who have a lot of money. I don't know how people could compete with this. Again, I understand why people are frustrated.
Number 5. Land banking corporate tactics.
Major developers operating in Poland intentionally buy up massive plots of urban land and hold them vacant for years. This practice is known as land banking. By keeping these plots off the market, developers artificially limit the number of new homes built each year, which protects their profit margins and keep prices per square meter climbing at rates that outpace local salaries.
Oh my God, no way!
It's a Ponzi scheme, and these
Investment firms.
are able to find the loopholes and outpurchase all of us, myself included. These are large investment firms, developing firms who know exactly what they're doing. And I hear these stories a lot, not just here in Poland, not just in America, but this is happening all over the world. You have huge corporations who are buying everything and pricing local people out. I see this in other industries as well too, where you have corporations who are worth billions of dollars outpricing the local businesses. How can you compete? I don't think you can. And I don't want to say that this is the new way of living. I really don't want to think that, because I'm not sure if you guys have read about this, but they're also talking about subscription-based rental. And so now we may have a Netflix version of renting our homes. And hooray.
Number 6. Relentless raw material and labor costs.
The fiscal costs of constructing a home in Poland has risen sharply. High global inflation and supply chain shifts drove up the baseline prices of concrete, steel, insulation, and labor. Developers pass these institutional costs directly onto the customers, meaning the absolute minimum price required to build an apartment block is already higher than the average middle-class salary can support. Not to mention what happened in 2020 with this whole world pandemic that happened. I think if you watch my last video, you kind of have a good idea of how I think and how I perceive certain things. When I'm seeing what's currently happening right now, it solidifies those thoughts and how I perceive the world.
There's some good in this world, Mr. Fertile. And it's worth fighting for.
Raw material is going to go up, and I think it's still going to go up, because if a certain strait is still closed, then yeah, it's going to affect petrol prices, it's going to affect costs, it's going to affect everything. Not to mention the tariff wars that are happening. There are a lot of things that we can't control, and unfortunately, what we can't control is going to affect our daily lives. It's going to affect groceries, it's going to affect our cost of living, and it's also going to affect, obviously, affordable housing. I don't know what the answers are for this, and maybe people who are smarter than me, I'm genuinely curious. What are some of your solutions, and what do you think we can do to be able to mitigate some of these issues? Let me know in the comments.
Number 7. Administrative local zoning stagnation.
A massive portion of major Polish cities lacks fixed, localized
Spatial
development plans. This forces builders to apply for individual, lengthy administrative permissions for every single project. The resulting bureaucratic delays take months or years, racking up massive financing fees for developers who then add those expenses directly to the final consumer price tag. Of course they do. Obviously, I'm not a legal person, nor am I an expert of any of this. I'm assuming logistically, there isn't enough people who are working to get a lot of these zoning permits to go through. I don't know. Maybe they're not giving side money to certain people. I mean, let's not lie. That's a thing, right? And I'm not just saying that's a thing here in Poland. I just think that's a thing, giving side money to government people everywhere.
Well,
But yeah, it makes sense. If these developers have to wait for zoning permits and the delays take up years and there's fees behind this, of course they're gonna put those fees on to all of us. Because why wouldn't they?
Number 8. Sudden demand shocks from government interventions.
When the Polish government attempted to help citizens via the Safe Mortgage 2% program, it backfired entirely. The policy pumped billions of złotych of subsidized credit into the market without creating any new housing supply. Real estate data shows that normal primary market prices in cities like Warsaw immediately spiked by over 24% year on year as developers raised prices to capture the state's subsidized funds, permanently pricing out anyone who did not qualify for the loan. Yeah, when the government subsidized, then people who are unscrupulous are going
To raise their prices.
because they're going to get paid one way or the other. And so, in other words, if you do not qualify for this program, you are literally priced out overnight.
You gotta be kidding me, bro.
So if a flat that you could afford was 600,000 złotych, and then the developer's like, oh,
An indirect wealth transfer to developers via subsidized buyer demand.
yeah, that 600,000 złotych now becomes 750,000 złotych, or in many cases, over 1 million złotych now, then yeah, a lot of people are going to be priced out. I'm not a genius. Clearly, I'm not, as I mentioned, an expert at this, but you would think people would have thought this thoroughly. You would think that they would have put mitigations up saying, hey, if we subsidize this, then we're also going to put a clause in that you cannot artificially raise the prices. And this sometimes when I read these things, it hurts my brain. Because you're going to hear me say this a lot. I'm not a dumb person. I'm not a smart person, but I do consider myself having somewhat of common sense. And when I read these things, I assume people would also have the same type of common sense. But clearly I'm wrong. Again, I don't know all the details. I don't know everything, but based upon what I read, you would think.
Number 9. High baseline borrowing barriers.
Even with minor recent adjustments by the central bank, mortgage interest rates in Poland remained high compared to the Eurozone averages. Under strict banking rules set by the NBP Recommendation S guidelines, these high rates destroy a buyer's calculated credit worthiness. Banks require a strict 10 to 20% cash down payment, which translates to a savings up to 200,000 złotych in cash for standard apartment, while simultaneously paying high city rent.
Hooray!
I know I can't save 200 złotych and be able to pay the high rent at the same time. It's damn if you do and damn if you don't. You just have to win the lottery. Shoutouts to
Poland's Lotto.
But many of us, unfortunately, do not have the privilege to win the lottery. With high rental costs, rental costs are incredibly expensive. I've been living in Poland for about 5 years, and seeing what rental prices were when I landed in Poland to what they are today is crazy. And I understand this is caused by a lot of factors. Obviously, I don't know where you guys are all living, but I live in Krakow, and there is a ton of flats that are being built. And I believe it's due to this reason. But one of the issues with having a ton of flats being built, it kind of hurts the local ecosystem.
Entire ecosystems are collapsing. How dare you?
Now, granted, thank God, Krakow does have a really beautiful city center with a lot of trees. I believe I read it's about 60 to 70% covered in green foliage.
I love trees.
You're seeing a lot of flats being built, which then also cause more heat because concrete holds in more heat, which then people are gonna eventually buy air conditioning. Hi, Americans who love air conditioning. But this also might become a thing because if we're gonna have an El Nino that's gonna be bad, as they're saying this year, then a lot of people are really gonna start considering purchasing air conditioning, which then also your energy cost is gonna go up. So everything incrementally is gonna just cost more.
Number 10. Rapid urbanization and economic polarization. Poland's
economic opportunities are aggressively concentrating into 5 major metropolitan hubs: Warsaw, Kraków, Wrocław, just kidding, Wrocław, Gdansk, and Poznań. Young professionals must move to these cities for modern wages, creating extreme localized demand. This hyper-concentration creates a massive disconnect where peripheral regions have affordable, empty housing, but no jobs, while the major employment hubs face impossible real estate pricing.
But that's impossible!
People are going to go where the jobs are at. So if the big cities have the jobs, of course, that's where you're going to have mass migrations of local citizens.
I've had it with this dump! We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
So what do people do with this? I have no idea. I am a firm believer of entrepreneurship, and I would love to see a company here in Poland that's going to become like a Silicon Valley. I believe Poland has the talent for this. I believe that we need to create something that's going to create jobs, not just here in the major cities, but jobs all over Poland, where people can do it at home, or just create local hubs there where you can have people support their local
community.
So instead of having millions of people coming into each of these respective cities here, I don't know, I think it'd be advantageous to create something where many of these talents where they're living can be able to stay there, create that community, build that community, and be able to still contribute to Poland. How to do this? I have no idea, but I think technology is the way. I think Poland has some of the brightest people in the world, like for example, decoding things that the British couldn't decode, but for some reason the British took credit for it. But I digress. I think these 10 examples really open my eyes about what many Polish people are facing. Again, I understand why when Polish people hear content creators talk about how cheap Poland is, it's infuriating because they don't understand the nuance. Hell, before, I didn't really understand the nuance. I'm genuinely trying to learn. I'm trying to understand and putting myself in your guys' shoes. Because when I get a comment that I'm like a certain content creator, I get a little offended by that. But at the same time, I get it. Because these challenges that we're all facing, they're very difficult. These aren't easy solutions. These aren't easy hurdles for all of us to be able to jump over. And then what happens? Do we have a subscription Netflix type of renting flats? Is that the ultimate goal? But I do know that the frustration is here because I get these comments all the time. Well, Poland has a housing problem. And if we don't find a solution, eventually owning a home will then become a memory. So if you do like this type of content and I bring value, I do ask if you can please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that hype button because as I always say, I'm really trying to build a community and grow with all of you. Thank you everyone for watching, and if you stayed till the end, you are true legends. And so with that said, and without further ado, let's get into it. I think these 10 examples really open my eyes. I know, right?